Back and happy to be joined by phone hookup now with Gene Klein, the owner of the San Diego Chargers, who stunned the football world this past week by trading John Jefferson to the Green Bay Packers. Gene, let me ask you, did you make that trade out of a sense of resignation that there was no way you would be able to sign him?
Brian, we had that trade on the table. We had the offer from the Packers. And when JJ's new agent, the agent who really does his people out by having people break their contracts by not playing, announced that JJ would never again play for the Chargers.
You speak of Howard Slusher, you're not a fan.
No, I think that Howard Slusher does things for his own benefit. He looks for publicity. He looks to hold players out and break their contract. He is a lawyer, and what he does, in my opinion, is totally inconsistent with the ethics of being a lawyer, and that is telling players and advising players not to live up to their contractual obligations.
Gene, as I understand it, the way the deal is now, it still has to be worked out and is contingent upon the Packers' ability to sign JJ. Assuming they can't, would you, in any way, shape, or form, be willing to take John Jefferson back?
Well, let me say this to you. Number one, Usher, in his presentation to the press, and the presentation that you aired, that said that John Jefferson only earned $40,000 or $60,000 last year. Let me clarify this and put the lie to it. Number one, John Jefferson last year had a salary of $100,000. He earned performance bonuses of $82,500. With his playoff money and Pro Bowl money and preseason money, John Jefferson earned over $200,000 last year. Now, these facts can be verified, and if anyone would like to send any account from one of the big A firms, I will be glad to open the books and prove that those are the facts.
Okay, Gene, those numbers that we were using had come from an independent, but let me get back to the other question. Would you, assuming the deal with Green Bay fell through, could you ever see the day of taking JJ back?
I think we'll have to face that when we come to it. I think that Green Bay will make an honest effort to sign him. And if his agent makes an honest effort to have him sign with Green Bay, I think he will go to Green Bay.
Okay, Gene Klein, thank you very much for joining us. I know it was a move that you took with a degree of sadness. Appreciate your joining us. Okay, so you are caught up not only on the scores of this day, but the John Jefferson situation. With that, we will send you back to the ballpark for second half of football.
And NFL 81 halftime activities will continue in a moment. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Your Dodge and Chrysler Plymouth dealers. We're coming back strong with the cars and the value America wants. By Hager slacks and separates that make you feel as good as you look. And by RCA Video Disc. Bring the magic home on RCA. Well, Jim, this is one of those situations where statistics really do tell the story. All Denver.
On both ways, offense and defense. The Baltimore defense has to be tired.
Denver had possession 21 out of a possible 30 minutes in the first half. Broncos 15 first downs, Colts with only 3. The Denver kickoff by Steinfort. Zachary Dixon. Dixon getting outside. And Steinfort chasing it, puts him out of bounds. Is that a move you worked on?
Yes, we taught Zachary. Yes, I taught Freddie that. Zachary just came right up to the pack. The coverage men were trapped inside. Good blocking by Baltimore. Maybe this is going to be something for the second half to see. It's a nice run back by Zachary Dixon. Once a Denver Bronco.
It sets up Baltimore first down at the 42-yard line. Bert Jones, who had a 3 for 12 first half, off the 46-yard kickoff return by Dixon in good field position. Curtis Dickey. And the Baltimore offense looking to go to work here in the second half after they were halted in that first half. Aaron Kyle, the right cornerback, making the stop on Dickey.
Sometime a kickoff or a punt return can spark the team. That's the first semblance I've seen of a good running game and aggressiveness on the Baltimore offensive side.
Final score, San Diego over Kansas City, 42-31. Chargers beating the Chiefs.
Who's going to stop them? They come into Denver next week.
9-yard run by Dickey, 2nd and 1 at the 48-yard line. McMillan and Dickey are the running backs. This is Dickey again. Could not make the turn. Stacked up by Lewis Wright, the left cornerback.
There's been some talk about Dickey not being able to cut back on this. This one he should have, but he's going against Louis Wright, one of the perennial All-Pros in the NFL. Look at Louis, he stacks it up. I think this is one of Louis' strong suits. He can take on the blocker and the back at the same time.
Curtis Dickey, who comes off the superb rookie season, injured his ribs though in preseason, played only a half of a ball game, and has had problems making the cut. He did pick up a first down. Here's Dickey again. This time makes the turn across the 40-yard line.
Maybe the first tackle by the Bronco defense that was missed today. Tommy Jackson.
Bob Swenson pushing Dickey out of bounds, setting the Baltimore Colts offensive line. Wade Griffin and Jeff Hart at the tackles. Robert Pratt and Ken Huff the guards, and Ray Donaldson at center. Reese McCall in at tight end. Tim Sherwin started the first 2 games. Had an impressive preseason, but had trouble getting off the line last week against Buffalo. Reese McCall drawing the nod today. McMillan trying to straight ahead move. Short pickup. And short of a first down.
The Broncos have probably in the NFL one of the better short yardage defenses there is, especially when Randy Gradishar stacks them up.
And it's been another big day for Gradishar. Co-captain had 12 first hits last week. Played hurt all last year, but still was solid.
Randy's been the leading tackler for the Bronco defenses the day he was here out of Ohio State. John Ralston's #1 draft choice.
There he is, number 53, in his 8th year in the NFL. The crowd urging the defense on a 3rd and 2 for Baltimore. Dickey. He's got the first down. Good second effort by Curtis Dickey, led by the right guard, Ken Huff.
The Broncos remained on that short yardage defense in their 3-man defensive line, and when you want to run at it, a 3-man defensive line assures the offense, if they just go right at it, assures them 2 or 3 yards on the rush.
Now Barney Chavis comes to the sideline along with Don Latimer as the Broncos make changes. First down for Baltimore at the Denver 35-yard line. This is the most impressive drive to this point by the Colts, which really isn't saying much. Here's McMillan. 3-yard gain. Swenson in on the tackle.
Impressive drive, but sparked by the kickoff return.
No question. Zachary Dixon taking that kickoff 46 yards.
You notice the wrap on Burt's arm, injured last week against Buffalo, numbness all week. I wonder if he's having any problems with that today.
You know what has been strange about Burt Jones? In past years, he would look for the deep pass, but he has been looking to dump off. He's been going short thus far this season.
Well, I think you have that quite often when you have the speed merchants that he has in the backfield. Give them the ball and let their talents take over.
2nd and 7. Zach Dixon.
I'm happy for Zach Dixon. He dropped a couple of balls here when he was a rookie with the Broncos, and they cut him right away. He bounced around the league. It's nice to see a guy stick to it, and he's doing a pretty good job for the Colts.
Number 31, Zachary Dixon. And he has been around, originally drafted by Denver, played with the Giants and the Eagles before joining Baltimore last season. It is a 3rd and 1 for the Colts at the 26, and a timeout is called by Baltimore. So the Colts looking to talk it over. That's head coach Mike McCormick along with Burt Jones. 4 minutes have gone by in this 3rd quarter. Denver Broncos leading it 14-0.
Can the Chargers' fouls put Denver on the outs? Can Houston's Campbell cause the Jets to scramble? Can the Colts' Jones break Miami's boat? Can Seattle's Zorn make the Chiefs look war? Next Sunday.
Marv Albert, Jim Turner, Denver, Colorado, where the Broncos lead the Colts 14-0. We're early third quarter. Baltimore 3rd and 1 at the Denver 26-yard line. Marvin Sims and Zachary Dixon now at the running back position. And a mix-up as Sims was tripped up back behind the line. However, a penalty marker is down. Looked to be a problem on the exchange between Jones and Marvin Sims, a second-year man out of Clemson, making his first carry of the season.
Stacked up beautifully by Aaron Kyle. Maybe Aaron was offsides. He got in there so quick. He just stacked it up. Mike's not too happy about this performance today.
In his second year as head coach.
Encroachment, left tackle, defense, first down.
And that short yardage, they're all inching for the advantage.
So it's a first down at the 21-yard line. I said Mike McCormick in his second year as head coach, his second year with the Baltimore Colts, was head man of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now McMillan and Dickey are back in that backfield. This is Dickey. Beautiful spin move for a second effort. And then Curtis was gang tackled. Radishar and Foley involved in the stop on number 27, Curtis Dickey.
Broncos in their four-man defense down on the 20-yard line and in. Aaron Kyle misses the original hit here. Nice control by Dickey. Look at that. Thompson and Aaron Kyle keeps his feet. Very nice effort. Reuben Carter, Steve Foley, Swinson, they all bring him down.
Dickey picked up 3, 2nd and 7 at the 18.
It's vital that they score here, Mark.
5 minutes gone by, third quarter. Colts trailing 14-0. Here's Dickey again with some room. Curtis Dickey picking up the first down.
There's the speed and the movement we've been all told about. And we've seen him twice now show his talents.
Reuben Connor and Steve Foley getting to Dickey. So the Baltimore Colts moving well, although they have not thrown a pass during the course of this drive, which has consisted of 9 plays.
A misdirection play. Burt Jones rolling out to the right, handing it back. Dickey going back, trying to catch the defense rolling away.
So Mike McCormick's Colts with a 1st and 10 just outside the 10. Important sequence here for the Bronco defense. McMillan on a sweep. Randy McMillan inside the 10-yard line. Bob Swinson, the outside linebacker on the left, making the stop in this Baltimore offense, looking much different than what we saw in the first half.
Well, I think probably Mike McCormick had a few choice words to say to them at halftime. It's a nice block by number 62 on the offensive line, Ken Huff, to get him what he did get there. 3 yards. It gets sticky down here inside the 10-yard line. The Broncos are very stingy.
2nd and 7. Carr to the left, Butler right. And now Jones to throw, and it was deflected away. Second time it's happened this afternoon. Swinson apparently got a piece of it to break it up.
Swinson and Barney Chavis just put the power rush on, strength against strength. We'll see it again. Burt, with his height, shouldn't have any of these blocked like that. Tommy Jackson's on a blitz. Swinson comes on a blitz. There it's blocked right there in the backfield.
Burt Jones goes 6'3", 218 pounds. Making it back from crippling shoulder injuries. Came back strong last year. 3rd and 7 at the Denver 8. Jones just did deliver, but Denver with a hard punt, able to stop Zachary Dixon, Radishar, and Jackson stacking him up.
Perfect coverage by the entire Bronco defense, and Randy just stacked it up. That had to be a perfect pass by Jones to even be completed.
Jones actually hesitated and then just pushed it within the grasp of Zachary Dixon. But Denver able to stop the Baltimore drive, and a field goal attempt upcoming for Mike Wood. This will be a 21-yard attempt. Landry will hold. Wood on the season is 4 for 4. So Mike Wood able to connect. And Baltimore getting on the board with only a Mike Wood field goal last week against Buffalo. Does the same here with Wood making it 5 out of 5. The Broncos now lead 14-3. On that 21-yarder.
He didn't need it. He didn't need it at all. He's a very good pickup by the Colts this year. We'll talk about Mike a little more.
All right, he made it 5 for 5 to get the Baltimore Colts on the board, and this is Wood kicking off. And Manning lets it go right through, so again, a good kickoff by Mike Wood. And the Broncos will be 1st and 10 at their 20-yard line. They now lead it 14-3 with 7.5 remaining in the third quarter. A reminder, next week on NBC's Major League Baseball Game of the Week, a showdown of the National League West. The LA Dodgers going against the Houston Astros, and scheduled to take them out against the Dodgers, the fastball king Nolan Ryan. Now, some of you will be seeing a big game in the American League East race. Milwaukee Brewers traveling to Detroit to go against the Tigers. We suggest you check your local listings for the game in your area next Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, right here on NBC Sports. Second back coming through, Dave Preston, who was tripped up. 3-yard advance, and we see that Paul Howard is back at right guard. Suffered a foot injury, left the game for a spell. However, Greg Boyd, left defensive end of the Denver Broncos, injured his shoulder in the first half, and he is out for the game. There's the scoring drive as Baltimore finally consumed some time. 7 minutes and 20 seconds, but they got only the 3 as Burt Jones was stopped by the Denver defense. A reverse for Watson. Steve Watson does not work. Rick Burrows on the end around for Watson, but the Colts were right there.
I'm not sure that that was good defense by the Colts, or that they just didn't pursue either way. We'll see it here. Quick pitch to Paris, a hand back to Steve Watson. Steve has great speed out of tempo, but the Baltimore Colt defense was there. I just don't know that that was very good defense, or they were out of position.
It was Glasgow, number 25, and then Barry Krause getting to Watson. It's a 3rd and 7 for Denver at their 23-yard line. Ford overthrowing Watson, who leaped for it. I'm not sure whether Manning, who was cutting down the sideline, or Watson, who was out on the flat. I'm not sure who the intended receiver was. Both went for it. Reggie Pinckney covering on the play. But at the half, Oakland leading Seattle 13-3.
Brady 5, 2 in the lead.
Los Angeles over Green Bay 14-10. Pat Hayden injured in that ball game, replaced by Jeff Rutledge. And at the half, the Giants over the New Orleans Saints 13-0. Giants trying to make it 2 in a row. Dave Shula awaiting the Luke Prestridge punt. And Shula with a short return. That time a line drive punt by Prestridge, a 46-yard punt. Shula hauled down by Ryan, and we'll be back in a moment. This third quarter, there is the Denver Broncos.
There he is.
Well, the New York Giants on a 14-yard run by Billy Taylor have now pulled in front of New Orleans by the score of 20-0 in the third quarter.
Back to being the Aints.
Coming off the upset victory. Burt Jones, after stumbling around, chased by Swenson, and then runs it out of bounds. Bryson Bonner, Bob Swenson, Larry Evans in pursuit of Jones.
Rulon Jones forced that play. Rulon had great pursuit. Tremendous penetration. Now, you'll see number 75 out of Utah State. He flushes him out. Burt sees he can't do anything. He makes a move over to his left. Bobby Swenson starts chasing him. I don't know if anybody saw it or not, but Burt had a little scuffle on the sideline with one of the Denver Bronco linemen. I'm not sure. There it is. Bryson Manor, number 66. I'm not sure quarterbacks are groomed to do things like that, Marv.
Well, the end result is a 1-yard pickup. It's a 2nd and 9 at the 37-yard line. Important sequence for the Colts looking to get back in it. They're trailing 14-3 following an invisible first half. Curtis Dickey, who has run well in the second half. Beautiful move by Dickey. Curtis Dickey going all the way.
That's the speed we've been told about when we see it. There's not a penalty on the field, so it's a touchdown. They're back in the game, Mark.
Curtis Dickey, who has come alive in this third quarter, going 63 yards to bring the Colts right back.
Outstanding blocking on the line of scrimmage, and then his initial ability and speed took off after that. They couldn't catch him. We've heard all week long about Curtis Dickey and Randy McMillan. Now we'll see it ourselves. Beautiful block there by number 61, Robert Pratt, and away he goes. Look at this. They're not going to catch him. Marvelous run.
So Curtis Dickey, the Baltimore Colts first-round draft pick last year out of Texas A&M, held to 35 yards on 14 carries by Buffalo a week ago, able to break loose. And here's Mike Wood. And the Baltimore Colts are within 4. 5:43 left, third quarter. The Denver Broncos 14, and the Colts of Baltimore 10. 30-yard run by Curtis Dickey, his second touchdown of the season, and the Colts now trail 14-10 after trailing 14-0. Wade Manning in his end zone and decides to stay right there. Another good kickoff by Mike Wood.
It's a great kickoff. Marv, it's very interesting that the Colts are running away from number 75, Rulon Jones.
And here's another look as Dickey makes the move, and then Jim goes sideline.
World-class speed. Look at this. And the Bronco defensive backs are very fast. Perry Smith right there. They can't catch him. Credit to the offensive line.
And Robert Pratt, number 61, the left guard, an 8-year veteran out of North Carolina, with a key block to unleash Dickey. Denver first down at their 20-yard line. Remember, Denver has not scored at all in the second half thus far this season. Nice move by Rick Parros.
Simple counter play, number 24, Rick Parris. Another great number 24 here in Denver, Otis Armstrong. Rick is trying to live up to that. Just a simple counter, nice blocking outwards, and Rick does the rest on his own. He feels some pressure wearing number 24. The greatest running back the Broncos have ever had, Otis Armstrong.
9-yard pickup. And it's a 2nd and 1. And Parris again. Nice change of direction to pick up the first down. I have a feeling some Floyd Little fans will be...
Floyd was great, but he didn't have the speed and everything, the quickness. Floyd definitely was great. Number 64, Billy Bryant, picked this week by Pro Football Weekly to be the center of the 80s and the best center in football today. Opened it up.
And Laird and Brazil make the stop on Parros, a first down at the 37-yard line. 4.5 left in this third quarter. This time a straight ahead move by Dave Preston. And Smith, and a linebacker of the Colts, making the stop.
Backed up in their own territory. I think the Broncos are content now to just run it out, get it out to the 50 so they can open it up.
There's the Baltimore scoring drive. 63-yard run by Dickey, capping it off. 2 plays, 64 yards. Earlier, a Mike Wood field goal from 21 yards out, set up by the 46-yard kickoff return by Zachary Dixon. 2nd and 5. Swoop pass for Watson. Steve Watson, forced out by S.B. Glasgow.
Nice call. Paul Howard, Dave Studdard pulled out. He takes a step down and stops, catches it maybe for a 1-yard gain, and then does the rest on his own. That's a nice call by Craig Morton. I like that.
And it's a first down for the Broncos at the Baltimore 44-yard line. Steve Watson, 5 receptions, 77 yards. He has surpassed his season total coming in. Quick opener. And again, it's Preston.
They're going to keep him off guard, Marv. Quick traps, sweeps, quick screens. quick slants. I think Craig, 17 years of experience now, along with Danny Reeves' play calling, I think they're just going to simply keep them off guard, get down another few yards, and maybe go for the quick hit right away.
A 3-yard advance, 2nd and 7. At the 41, Tony Reed has come on, replacing Dave Preston. Watson is to the left. Tony Reed. He refuses to go down.
Beautiful effort. Tony Reed. Listen to the crowd.
Tony Reed was able to pull his way by the right quarterback, Larry Brazil.
He brought him alive with that one. There's Ed Smith, free agent, the second year out of Vanderbilt. Great hands by Tony Reed. I'm surprised that Kansas City gave him. Look at this drive. He's not going to give up.
It's a 19-yard pickup, 3rd reception on the day for Reed. First down at the Baltimore 22. Preston inside the 20, setting up a 2nd and 7. Again, the middle linebacker, Ed Smith, making the stop. Front 4 for Baltimore. Darrell Wilkerson, Mike Barnes, Bubba Green, Mike Ozdowski. The linebackers, Barry Krause, Ed Smith, Mike Woods. The cornermen, Derek Hatchett and Larry Brazil. And the deep men, strong safety, Bruce Blair. And the free safety, Nesby Glasgow. Dan Reeves, in his first year as head coach. Orton looking deep, couldn't find anyone. Now looks for Watson. Steve Watson. Leading Derek Hatchett, and Orton has thrown his 3rd touchdown pass of the day.
To the offensive line he had all day. He picked his man. Steve was covered on the out pattern. He turned back in. I tell you, fans and the media here have been calling for Steve to see more action for 2 years. There it is, his 2nd TD pass of the day.
And Fred Starnford puts it right through. A minute 35 left, 3rd quarter here in Denver. And it's the Broncos 21 and the Colts 10. Steve Watson with his 6th reception of the day, 95 yards in all, and Jim, his 2nd touchdown pass of the day.
I like the way he went up for it. His height helped out. The man's all over his back. Actually, pretty good coverage.
Now the kickoff by Steinfort. Another good one, Zachary Dixon to his knee.
Now Freddie's back in the groove after a tough game against Oakland. That's so great. The first kick there, it's just, the defense has to love it. 80 yards now Burt Jones has to take them.
Hey, we've seen excellent kickoffs by both Steinfort and Wood.
Wood's a sleeper in the league today. The Colts made a nice trade for him. San Diego tried to hide him last year because they put him on injured reserve, which he wasn't.
Denver scoring drive, consuming 4:08. 8 plays, 80 yards. Morton and Watson capping it off. Now the Colts first down at the 20-yard line. Time running down in this 3rd quarter. Jones looking to go sideline and threw it away. Crowd roaring because Wade Manning picked it off along the sideline, but this one won't count on his stats.
Now that was a busted pattern on Carr's part. Louis Wright just pushed him out of bounds. He was supposed to go out and up, and Louis just checked him at the line, and that was the end of that pattern.
It is a 2nd and 10 for Burt Jones at his 20-yard line. The Baltimore Colts trailing now 21-10 as Denver scores for the first time in the 2nd half this 81 season. Zachary Dixon and a penalty marker down.
Marv, I find it interesting. Has Burt thrown a pass in the way of Ray Butler yet today, number 80?
I can't recall, except there was one mix-up earlier, but but I don't think that there has been one thrown in his direction.
It carries along with what the coach Mike McCormick was talking about this week. We throw to Carr too much.
Unnecessary roughness, number 79 on the tackle. First down.
Barney Chavis, you know better than that.
Well, it makes for a first down at the 38-yard line. Of course, Jones has been dumping passes off thus far this season to McMillan and Dickey. McMillan stacked up. Rulon Jones. Barney Chavis stopping the rookie Randy McMillan, who's had another difficult day. Let's go to NFL 81 in New York.
Thank you very much, Marv Albert. Byron Day here in New York. Oakland having some problems now. Plunkett hit by Tosiopo. The ball is fumbled, and Keith Simpson for the Seahawks makes a recovery. 13-10 with less than a minute remaining in the third quarter. Raiders on top. Marv?
All right, Byron, back here in Denver, 2nd and 9 at the 39-yard line. 35 seconds left, third quarter. Getting it off to McMillan, and he fumbles. Swenson on the recovery. So the Denver Broncos have recovered.
They called it a reception, Marv. Heads up by number 51, Bob Swenson. It's definitely a reception to Randy McMillan. Good pursuit there by Don Latimer. He throws it right to him. Bob Swenson heads up, dives in, puts his shoulder in there. Boy, what an opportunity for the Broncos here.
They take over 1st and 10 at the Baltimore 48-yard line. And Morton going long for Watson. Oh, what a touchdown!
Craig steps into it. He lets it fly. Watch this outstanding catch. Look at this. Marvelous. Steve Watson, number 81. Here's a guy that fans have been screaming for 2 years.
Steve Watson signed as a free agent, a 3-year veteran out of Temple. He goes 6'4", 192 pounds. He has shown flashes upon occasion. As Jim has mentioned, has not been used very much, has not been a favorite receiver in the past. In fact, came in with only 3 receptions for the season. Freddie Steinfort. And Denver, a club that had not scored at all in the second half coming into today's play, with its second touchdown this third quarter, and they now lead it by the score of 28-10.
Very impressive touchdowns.
Steve Watson, 7 receptions, 143 yards.
There's the crowd. I told you.
Put this one out of the end zone. You watch. They're just standing on the sidelines. They're fired up. Baltimore is in trouble.
Better than 75,000 here in Denver. Tim Anderson on the return. Anderson to the 29-yard line.
Did I say Freddie would kick that one out of the end zone?
I thought I heard you correctly.
Yeah, I lost my head.
Dennis Smith making the stop on number 26, Kim Anderson. The The Denver scoring drive capped off by the 48-yard touchdown combination Morton to Watson, but a spectacular turnaround move by Watson to beat Larry Brazil. Now Baltimore first down at the 29. 8 seconds left in this third quarter. Was the fumble by McMillan, recovered by Swenson, that set up the last Denver touchdown. And that's the end of the third quarter. The score, the Denver Broncos 28, the Baltimore Colts 10. And we'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Then Robert Conrad is the coach of the year.
3 touchdown passes today. That was a marvelous touchdown catch, but it was also very, very good coverage. I have a feeling that Baltimore's defense hasn't recovered from the amount of time they spent on the field the first half.
So the Colts now with a 2nd and 3 at their 36-yard line as we get underway fourth quarter. Zachary Dixon and Randy McMillan are the running backs. This is Dixon, who has received much playing time this afternoon. Curtis Dickey had the Baltimore highlight for the afternoon thus far with that 63-yard run. Billy Thompson, the strong safety. Outside linebacker Bob Swenson making the stop on Dixon, who picked up the first down out at the 40-yard line. Ray Butler to the right, Roger Carr left. Jones, who is only 5 for 16, throwing on the run for McMillan. And a penalty marker down. A hard hit on Randy McMillan by Tom Jackson. But a flag is down, and we'll hear it from the referee, Chuck Hemmerling. It's a hold on Baltimore.
Might have been on number 62, Ken Huff, blocking Jim Ryan, number 50 at linebacker. Jimmy Ryan is in, by the way, but they're checking. Steve Antonopoulos on the bench is checking Bob Swenson's knee at the moment. So there's a change on the defense right now.
74,804.
They boo the no-shows in Denver.
Holding, offense, number 62, first down.
All right, Jim, right on the button. Ken Huff called for the hold.
Tremendous hitting going on out there right now. Tempers are going to start to flare. The offensive line of the Baltimore Colts has done a pretty good job considering they're behind and the defense is just tearing off into them.
The announcement that Craig Morton, who passed by Bart Starr on the all-time quarterback list, is now passed Bob Greasy. Zachary Dixon, short pickup. Jim Ryan, the outside linebacker, number 50, making the stop. 74,804, 82nd consecutive sellout here at Mile High Stadium in Denver.
Jimmy Ryan, a free agent out of William & Mary, the special teams captain of the Broncos this year.
Jim, this could be a bad day for you. I see Jan Stenerud has kicked 2 field goals. There's Steve DeBerg warming up, so perhaps we'll see Steve later on. Mark Herman and Steve DeBerg, the backups to Craig Morton. There's still a lot of time to go. Penalty marker down. Randy McMillan on the reception, but a flag down.
That'll be holding on the Baltimore Colts. They held Reuben Carter. I got a feeling it's on number 61, Robert Pratt.
Stenerud has kicked a 20-yard field goal and 1 from 24. So LA now leads Green Bay 14-13 in the third quarter. Stenerud chasing Jim Turner.
He's a great kicker.
Steve DeBerg was acquired just before the start of the season.
Offense, number 62, second down.
Ken Huff. If in fact it's on Huff, it's his second in a row. No, that's on 61. Looked like a face mask. 61. Face masking Reuben Carter. Outstanding nose tackle of the Broncos.
61 is Robert Pratt. Although the official did say
he did. He said 62.
But they have been wrong with numbers before. 2nd and 27. Zachary Dixon. Out to the 34-yard line. 2.5 minutes have gone by in this fourth quarter.
Burt kicked the flag on that last one. He's pretty upset. He's got to keep his cool right now. 3rd and 15. Bronco defense is hot. He has to keep his cool and let that go through the team at this point.
Burt Jones sat out the entire second half last week of the loss to Buffalo. Greg Landry taking over in a mop-up. With Buffalo putting the game out of reach, Jones suffering the injured elbow, says he's all right. He's had a tough day here today. 3rd and 15 for Jones. Nearly picked off. Aaron Kyle could not hang on. Again, Roger Carr, the intended receiver, and Kyle upset. Should have had it.
Burt's mad at himself. He knew he threw it into a crowd. He was lucky there.
All right, let's get another update now from New York.
All right, Marv, this is Bryant Gumbel. In Oakland, the Raiders have scored again. Derek Jensen going in from a yard out have now doubled up on the Seahawks. It's 20-10 in the fourth. Let's go back to Mile High. Marv Albert, Jim Turner.
Thank you, Bryant. Baltimore Colts in punt formation. Mike Garrett. This is Wade Manning. Manning getting outside. The punter, Garrett, slowing him down. And Larry Krause was finally able to get Manning out of bounds. A 49-yard punt by Garrett, who has punted well, and a 36-yard return by the second-year man out of Ohio State, Wade Manning.
That's exactly why Coach Dan Reeves acquired him early on this year. Shades above church. He's doing an outstanding job. He brings the crowd to life.
So Denver will take over. We'll be back in a moment. A conduct penalty while the ball was dead, and so they've marked it off, making for a 1st and 10 for Denver at the 33, and Steve DeBerg has come on to replace Craig Morton at quarterback. DeBerg, one-time San Francisco 49er, picked up just before the start of the season on the final cut-down day, playing his first downs as a Denver Bronco. The handoff for Preston. And a first down at the 20 for Dave Preston. And Smith, the middle linebacker, making the start.
The Colts thought they recovered a fumble at that point. Officials disagreed. Baltimore in that 3-man line. DeBerg just called a quick trap to Preston, and away they went. It really looks like it's such a one-sided game, and I suppose it is, but Baltimore is hanging in there. Everything has gone right for Denver today.
Well, Denver had possession 21 out of a possible 30 minutes in the first half. Baltimore did come back offensively in the third quarter, but the Denver defense has set it up, and Craig Morton has thrown 4 touchdowns. Look out. It is whistled dead. 92 is Darrell Wilkerson.
This happens a lot when you have motion in your backfield.
Apparently Danny Reeves, pulling Craig Morton, does not want to see Morton get hurt at this stage. He was 20 for 28, 298 yards.
No.
4 touchdowns, intercepted though 4 times.
You rest your 17-year veterans when you can. Craig has earned those 25,000 yards. He had some hard days in New York. You know that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, let's take a look. They're calling this against Denver. They feel they drew him off. Well, it was Riley Odom's win in motion. That's an interesting call. It may be on DeBerg's head movement. We'll listen. That's a surprise call.
False start. Offense. Number 88. First down.
It's on Riley. Simple motion play.
And Herb Orvis was the man thrown offside along with Darrell Wilkerson.
We quite frankly can't see it here. Riley is in motion. Herb does drive through there. The officials seem to think something drew him off. I saw Danny Reeves pretty upset there. Look at that. More than 3 of them went in motion, so something had to bring him on.
So first and 15. Rick Parros hit back behind the line for a loss by Bruce Laird, number 40. It'll be a 2nd and 16 back at the 26-yard line. Steve DeBerg is a quarterback known to be adept at drawing the defense offside.
Johnny Hadle used to be that way when he played for the Chargers. He'd pop that hit and they'd all go offside.
Very nifty in picking up a first down on occasion. DeBerg in his 5th year in the NFL out of San Jose State. He's 27 years old. And will throw one for the first time. And completes. Riley Odoms, the tight end, stopped by Barry Krause. Odoms with his 3rd reception of the day. The ball is spotted at the 18-yard line. It'll be a 3rd and 8 for Denver.
DeBerg is no stranger to throwing the ball. We'll see his first pass as a Denver Bronco. But this has to make him feel good. The first time in Mile High in a uniform like this throwing, and it's completed to Riley Odoms.
Steve DeBerg, who it was thought would thrive under Bill Walsh out in San Francisco, completing his first pass as a Bronco. Now out of the shotgun. Chased by Wilkerson. He is 2 for 2. That looks to be just short of a first down and a penalty marker down as Wade Manning picks it off. Larry Brazil on the
quarterback, I believe, Marv.
It is against the Colts. And it will be first and goal for Denver at the 6.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 90. It'll be a tack on to the completed pass. First down.
Mike McCormick does not appreciate that call on left defensive end Hosea Taylor, the rookie out of the University of Houston.
Nice pass by DeBerg.
A first and goal at the 6. 10 minutes left, 4th quarter. And Denver with a 28-10 lead on Baltimore. Barrow shifting alongside Preston. Colts saw it all the way, no question.
There's a broken play, Marv. If we get to see it again, you'll see DeBerg got out late. Number 62, Tommy Glassick, knocked him back. They were lucky to get anything, which they didn't on that one. We'll see it again. And watch DeBerg. He doesn't get out fast enough. Tommy Glassick's pulling, one of the better pulling guards in football. Knocks him down. It's just a busted play. Nice play by the Baltimore Colts, however.
Krause and then Laird covering up.
Laird All-Pro last year.
In his 10th year out of American International. Came up with an interception of Morton in the first quarter. Morton was intercepted 3 times in the first quarter, then turned it around. 2nd and goal from the 11. And the play blown dead. And DeBerg did not appreciate Darrell Wilkerson ramming him after the whistle had blown.
Tempers are flaring.
Delay of the game, number 17, offense.
So delay of game against the Denver Broncos.
Why do they call that on the quarterback?
You know, that's true.
Yeah. Coach might have sent the play in too late. Why is it against the quarterback? Yeah. Of course, I've never agreed with the naming of the number. I sometimes think fans can get hostile. And
you're kidding.
No, sir, I don't.
Oh, I think it's great when we know who.
Well, it's tough if you're down on the field, Marv, in uniform.
We'll get back to that later on. DeBerg with the handoff off the... And a penalty marker is down. DeBerg was whacked by Woods this time.
I'm not sure what Baltimore is trying to prove here, but I believe they're going to lose the ball on the fumble recovery again. That's the 3rd time in a row they've knocked DeBerg down. You know, there's nothing against knocking quarterbacks down, but there's a rule in the NFL, protect that guy with the team number on the quarterback. And
Mike McCormick away evaluating this call by the referee, Chuck Heverly. 9:10 remaining, fourth quarter. And Denver with a 28-10 lead on Baltimore. Steve DeBerg does not appear to be too upset about the way matters have gone. Just getting back to the point you made, the fact that you don't like to hear the numbers called out on penalties. I think that was one of the problems with football in the past. You'd never know what's going on.
Well, you may be right there, but I know as a player for 16 years, and I know how the players who are called, the offensive and defensive linemen, they didn't like it because they felt they were being singled out, especially if it wasn't against them and the official called their number.
Well, of course, the players won't care for it. But I don't think that's a factor. I think it has really made things more interesting, particularly in putting the microphones on the official.
Now, this is going to be an interesting call, what they do here. It was definitely a fumble recovery by the Colts, by Bruce Laird. A penalty for roughing the quarterback. What's the decision going to be? Those officials have so many split decisions to make, and I don't know how they do it. They do a good job.
Unnecessary roughness, number 59, during the run. It's first down.
Unnecessary roughness on Woods
during a run. Let's take a look, see what happens here to DeBerg after. Well, we're not going to see it. Boy, nice stick. Bruce Laird picks it up, stays in the end zone, so if there was no penalty, they'd have had it on the 20.
Right, but this all unnecessary. Woods, during the course of the run, got to DeBerg, and therefore the penalty, making for a first and goal at the 8-yard line. LA Rams now lead the Green Bay Packers 21-16 in the third quarter. Reed and Parros are the running backs. Parros inside the 5, stopped by Glasgow.
He shows some pretty nifty moves for a youngster, doesn't he?
In his first year, he's considered a first-year player out of Utah State. He injured a knee in training camp last season and then spent the season on injured reserve. He was a 4th-round draft pick by the Broncos last year.
The first day of contact last year, he tore his knee up. Greg Boyd hit him.
Second and goal from the 4. Steve DeBerg now running the offense for Denver. Penalty marker down again, delay of game, and they'll call it on DeBerg, and this time, Jim, I think you'd agree, justifiably so. He's just having difficulty getting adjusted.
Yes. I'm surprised that he's even in the game. Coach Reeves said all week long that if anybody winning the game, it'd be Mark Herman because of his familiarity with the calls and everything, and this is an example of what Danny was talking about.
Well, next Sunday, join host Brian Gumbel for NFL 81. All the highlights and scores and late-breaking news from all the games, featuring a clash between two powerhouses, the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. A big day of football next Sunday on NBC. Second and goal from the 9. And DeBerg in trouble, able to get it off. And underthrows. Steve DeBerg somehow able to release it, but a penalty marker down again in the Denver backfield.
He just about came up with the play of the game right there. Acrobatic display there.
And Jim, that's the 6th penalty that has been called during the course of this drive. That's on both clubs. Let's take a listen.
There is no foul. The quarterback was in the grasp of the tackler. It's third down.
Good call, ref. Good call. Nice rush by Baltimore. They're putting the pressure on him. Look at number 55 there. Randy Cross. Look, watch this. Almost gets away. Almost a touchdown reception by Riley Odoms. Good rush, good penetration by that Baltimore line.
And it's still third and goal, but this time back at the 18-yard line. 8 minutes left, fourth quarter. Now DeBerg with time. Zone. Wade Manning on the incompletion. Mike Woods covering on the play, so Manning had a linebacker isolated on him.
An outstanding catch. Look at this. Would have been a great catch. Good call, ref. Good call. They're going to go for the field goal here.
So Fred Steinfort, who is only 2 for 7. He missed 5 in the opening game against Oakland. 36-yard attempt. No good.
Well, that's tough to take.
Yeah, he had a terrific year last season, 26 for 34, but has had his difficulties this year. And we'll get back to the subject of Fred Steinfort with place kicker Jim Turner when we come back with 7:46 remaining, fourth quarter. 36-yard field goal missed by Fred Steinfort. Why is he having problems this year?
Well, he had such an outstanding year last year, Marv. It was tough for anybody to believe one man could have that great of a year. We see the ball hooking as soccer kickers do. Before the game, I commented to you that he hit the uprights in warm-ups 4 times, and I was surprised at that. It's just one of those things. He is a very good kicker.
Missed 5 in a row against the Raiders 2 weeks ago. So the Colts taking over, penalty marker down. Bert Jones goes down, and again a flag on the play. Rulon Jones getting to Bert Jones.
Bert's looking around like George Blanda used to at his offensive line in Houston. And I remember George sitting there pointing a finger at some of his linemen, and the next play the gates were open and George is on his back again. You'd be nice to your offensive lineman.
A look or two will do it.
Oh, yes. Well, you know, Namath just used to say, fellas, if you'll give me an extra second. And that's kind of the cool way to do it.
Offense number 69, refuse. Second down.
Wade Griffin, the left tackle, is called on the hold. The penalty refused because of the sack by Rulon Jones.
Well, it's a tough situation for Bert. The ball's on the 8. The defense is just teeing off on him.
He now has a 2nd and 22 staring at him from that 8-yard line. 7.5 left, fourth quarter. Curtis Dickey. Nowhere. To the 10.
I know it sounds like we're talking about the Broncos an awful lot, but they simply have been awesome on defense.
And as a result, the Baltimore Colt defensive unit has been forced to spend a lot of time out on the field, except for a stretch during the third quarter. A happy day for this guy, head coach Dan Reeves. At 37, the youngest coach in the National Football League. Dump pass for Dickey. And the Broncos that time giving him no running room at all as he looked to cut upfield. Gradishar Jackson getting to Curtis Dickey, and it forces a punting situation.
It was so far to go for the first down. We just see the defense is playing what they call a soft defense. Give them anything underneath and then tackle them, force them going to punt formation.
So Mike Garrett out of the University of Georgia, who is 4th in punting in the AFC, averaging just under 51 yards per punt.
I'm impressed with Mike Garrett. Another nice high spiral, puts Manning back.
Manning to the 40. Manning trying to rip loose and gets up to midfield. It's been a good day for Wade Manning, who has taken over for the injured Rick Upchurch. 46-yard punt by Garrett. 6:05 left, fourth quarter.
And then let's watch his follow-through. That's something. Look at that. Ray Guy right there. I like that. A free agent. How he could have snuck through to be a free agent.
46-yard punt for Garrett. First down at midfield for Denver. New backfield. Larry Canada and Rob Lytle are the running backs. The quarterback is Steve DeBerg. This is Canada. Picks up a yard.
Some years back, Larry Canada, a fan favorite here, known as the mailman. They give it to him on short yardage, and away he'd take it. He really is the only fullback of size that the Broncos have.
Mike Woods making the stop on Canada, who spent all of last year on injured reserve. In his third year out of the University of Wisconsin, he goes 6'2", 226.
A well-built young man. He may go more than 226.
2nd and 9 from the 50. 5.5 left, fourth quarter. They line up in the eye. This is Lytle. loss on the play. He was really walloped.
He fumbled the ball there, Marv.
And Jim Wright was there to cover it up, right? A backup tight end. Here's another look.
Rob Lytle's an interesting player on anybody's ball club. He's 150%er all the way out of Michigan. He takes a nice hit here in the head. Look at the face masking. They miss. They'll fumble the ball. Backup tight end Jim Wright recovers it for the Broncos. I guess the officials do miss a few.
It was Ed Smith, the middle linebacker, making the stop. 3rd and 8 at the Baltimore 49. DeBerg throwing sideline. He's got White. First down and more. Bruce Laird making the stop on Jim White out of Texas Christian, a 7th round pick of Atlanta back in '78, signed with Denver as a free agent last year. First down at the 35 in Baltimore territory.
Out of the shotgun, DeBerg has all of his receivers spread out. He's got the Baltimore defense spread out. Has a lot of time. Jim Wright makes simple out pattern on Bruce Laird, one-on-one, and nice throw, nice catch.
14-yard pass play. First down at the 35-yard line. That's Watson in motion. Larry Canada picking his way through. Nice run by Canada. Mike Woods, SB Glasgow finally closed him down.
That's what the Bronco fans are used to out of Larry Canada, the mailman. He'll just plow it into you. Good size, good speed, loves to play the inside traps and draws.
And Canada picked up 8, 2nd and 2 at the 27. Denver just running the clock, 3.5. Remaining 4th quarter, and folks are staying right in despite the 18-point lead by the Broncos. 75,000 staying right where they are.
Well, they want to take a look at DeBerg, and they're absorbing this offensive show.
Canada again, close to picking up the first down.
Wasn't a very crisp play. Ron Egloff, the tight end, is motioning that it is the first down. Yes, they made it. There's still a little bit of rustiness in DeBerg. I'm glad for DeBerg. Wouldn't you like to see Mark Herman come in for a few minutes?
He had a superb preseason, 13 for 19 through 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Mark Herman, the rookie out of Purdue, where he had a sensational career in the Big Ten.
Dan Reeves has made no secret of it. Mark Herman is his future quarterback.
First down at the 25. Again, Canada try to break the tackle, picked up a yard on the play. And Smith, the middle linebacker, again making the stop.
You wonder just how tired that defense is. I feel for them. They've been on the field an awful long time today.
And the Broncos will just run the clock down to the 2-minute mark. So the Denver Broncos getting some offense this afternoon, particularly in the second half where they had been blanked previously. With 2 minutes left in this 4th quarter, lead the Baltimore Colts by the count of 28-10. We'll be back in a moment. Our head coach, Mike.
He's disappointed. This is the 2nd week in a row, and his defense has been on the field so long today.
Baltimore with that one good offensive outburst in the 3rd quarter, but that was it. 2nd and 10 for Denver at the Colt 25-yard line. A jump pass thrown by DeBerg. Larry Canada with 1st and goal at the 5. Action and Glasgow finally got him down.
A nice play. I thought they might run it out. We'll see it again. Larry Canada. Nice play. I like this multiple offense Danny Reeves is trying to install here. It's tough to learn. It's going to take time. Look at this play out to Larry Canada. No one's out there. They didn't expect to throw to the big fullback, and he's going to put the hat on somebody there.
Steve DeBerg is now 4 for 5 for 50 yards.
Didn't he lead the league in passing a couple of years ago in San Francisco? Yes.
Throwing many passes.
Yes, very many.
1st and goal at the 5. Canada able to break one tackle, move inside the 5-yard line. He was surprised that time. Mike Barnes making the stop.
Baltimore defense almost came up with a good play here to stop him for a yard loss. Larry's stunned right at first, but his weight, his balance carries him through. Watch that. He'll keep the legs driving, go on, and make a yard out of a possible yard loss there. Nice play.
Barnes slowed him up and then tripped him up. It is a 2nd and goal inside the 5-yard line. This is Preston. Good second effort. Mike Woods, number 59, the right side linebacker, making the stop as we approach the 1-minute mark. So it's a 3rd and goal at the 2. Big story here today. Craig Morton, although intercepted 3 times in the first quarter, and then was intercepted 1 more time, able to come back through 4 touchdown passes in all. Had a splendid day, 20 for 28. Watson catching 3 of the touchdowns, Egloff the other. 3rd and goal at the 2. Here's Canada. And let's see, did he get it in? He extended the arms. No, they say just short.
He made the effort
at the 1-foot line.
All the fans are yelling to go for it. Danny won't kick here. He won't kick. A field goal would be a snub in the face. Morton's telling to Burke to run the clock. Don't score, don't rub it in. I think that's a nice touch by Dan Reeves and the Broncos. But I must say, the Baltimore Colts defense were on the field just too long today, Marv.
It is a classy move by,
yes, sir,
by Danny Reeves and the Denver Broncos not to bring it in for an extra score. And there's the gun ending the game. The Denver Broncos have defeated the Baltimore Colts 28-10. We'll be right back. Back here at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado, the Denver Broncos have defeated the Baltimore Colts by the score of 28-10. A spectacular day for wide receiver Steve Watson. He caught 3 touchdown passes. Craig Morton threw for 4. Morton finished unofficially 20 for 28 for 298 yards. Marv Albert along with Jim Turner in Denver, Colorado, as the Broncos have gone 2-1 on the season. The Colts drop to 1 up and 2 down. We'll be back with the NFL report right after these messages from your local station.